My 15-year-old daughter is pregnant. Her boyfriend, they lied to me about his age. He's 20. But it's still legal here, dumped her yesterday after she told him the news. And today in the afternoon she told me. We cried a little, and she said she didn't want to talk about it for now. Then, before I left for work, I work from Sunday to Thursday, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. she dropped a bomb. She wants to keep the baby. We couldn't discuss it because I was almost running late, but we scheduled it for tomorrow afternoon. My problem is that I can't afford another kid. I raised her and her sister 11 alone in the last 9 years. Their father is a deadbeat, and I receive minimal child support. Putting it in perspective, my kids' school meal costs are 3x the amount of CS I got. Our apartment is tiny. They have both an 8 square meter room, while I'm sleeping on the living room couch. We're living paycheck to paycheck. I'm skipping meals so they can have enough food. Public childcare is full. Private childcare is unaffordable. Until that baby is 3, someone has to be home with it. Then they can go to kindergarten or preschool. But then what? A baby doesn't need much space, but a toddler or preschooler needs a room of their own. I only have this apartment because I inherited money. It's a raging housing crisis in my country. She'll definitely not be able to afford to move out with a preschooler. But I don't want to pressure her into an abortion. Edit. My lunch break is over. I can't answer for a few hours. Edit 2. Please stop with the religious stuff. I grew up Catholic. I'm the 5th of 7 children. God kind of forgot to provide for us. We were in and out of foster care. So respectfully, quit the BS. And we are still not US citizens. We live in Bumef, Hungary, Europe. Comments. Advig. This talk needs to include some harsh truths. If she really wants to keep the baby, she'll need to start working as soon as possible to save. Her ex may not want anything to do with her, but he's going to have to help out, at least financially. And that will mean he'll be a part of her life for at least the next 18 years. And it most likely won't be pleasant. No more free time with friends. No more spending what little money she may have on herself. The mental and physical toll a pregnancy puts on a woman. Please help her understand that it's not just cute cuddles when a baby comes. Ruck 999. What a decision for a 15-year-old to make. That's heartbreaking. Update. First, I want to address a few things. 1. Trying to use a child's crisis for your own benefit is effing disgusting. What is wrong with you? There was more than one person who sent me private messages wanting to adopt. 2. I grew up in extreme poverty, so let me tell you, God will not provide, so counting on that is kind of stupid. I'm an atheist. 3. Thank you to everyone who commented, talked, or just listened to me. I was panicking and terrified when I wrote the first post, and I just needed to get it off my chest to be heard. I appreciate your time and effort towards me. Now to the update. Yesterday night, we talked a little about what exactly happened. Long story short, her ex pressured her into sex and refused the condom because it's uncomfortable, and he would be careful. She didn't realize at first that her period was late because she still didn't have a regular cycle. Her first period was in April last year. She told her bestie what happened, and she bought a test a week ago, and it came back positive. Then she worked up the courage to tell me, and here we are. As we checked, she is probably 8-9 weeks along, or at least the last time they slept together was a little more than 9 weeks ago. Today, I took her to the obgyn. After some scolding from a doctor, he checked her and, by touch, estimated a 7-week-old pregnancy. Then we went to an ultrasound and found out that there was no heartbeat. There is no viable pregnancy. The only problem is that the miscarriage hasn't started yet. So she got an appointment for Friday for a cleanout. I was relieved a little bit. I was more worried about my daughter, but to my surprise, she looked relieved. On the bus home, she cried a little. She didn't want to talk and just said, "I'm okay, Mom." I told her we're going to talk about it later, whenever she's ready. Now, to the crazy part. Around 1 p.m. she got a call from her friend, but I was the one who answered it. It was her friend's mom. And she immediately started questioning my daughter, why she wasn't in school, is the baby okay, and did she tell me about adoption? Like WTF. She clammed up. And when she realized she was talking to me, she acted like she was just worried about my daughter, etc. It was fishy. I woke up my daughter from her nap and warned her that I'm in my last crumbs of sanity right now, so talk. She started crying and, between sobs, told me that when she took the pregnancy test, her friend told her mom, and the mom called her friend, who is on the waitlist for adoption. And those 2 grown-up women bullied my daughter until she promised she'd give the baby up for adoption. They even made her watch the Silent Scream movie. I'm in a rage. The only thing that stops me from planning a homicide is the law. Comments. Your little birdie. I'm speechless at that woman's behavior. Wow. Ermel 149. and of the boyfriends, all of them. What is that? Coyote of the month. If you can find out what adoption agency this woman is using, maybe give them a call and let them know she should never be anywhere near a child. Editor's note. The age of consent in Hungary is 14. Second story. OP is having a baby with her former husband after they divorced. This is long. I'm sorry, I've sort of written a novel here. I wanted to post this in a relationship advice group, but the subject matter isn't allowed. My ex-husband and I were married for 10 years, although the last 2 were spent in variations of separation. We've been divorced for roughly a year. We have 3 kids, 10, 8, and 5. I'm pregnant with our 4th baby. I don't know if we'll actually be parents to 4 kids or not. I'm so conflicted. We are so conflicted. There was no ahs or cheating in our marriage, although he did sleep with somebody else during our separation. There are a variety of other reasons why we ultimately got divorced. After the initial feelings of failure and heartache, and there was an immense amount of heartache on my end despite being the one who filed for divorce, we were able to get along pretty well. It became platonic so quickly, and it's like when we removed the romantic and married relationship from the equation, things got so much better. We split time with our kids 50-50. That's really hard for me because being a mom is such a huge part of my identity that I still sometimes struggle to know what to do with myself during my time with the kids. Ultimately, I'm happy that he's a loving, involved father, and I'm glad that they do spend half their time with him, even if I still sometimes cry over not being with them all the time. We still do things together as a family sometimes. We sit together at our kids' activities and things like that. He has a girlfriend now. She seems nice. He met her not long after our divorce was finalized. It hurt. I cried way too much over it. He waited over 6 months to introduce her to our kids, which I was thankful for. My kids like her. Our youngest child was unexpectedly admitted to the hospital not long ago. He had surgery. In the grand scheme of things, it was a pretty minor surgery, and he's absolutely fine now. But this is my baby, and he had to spend multiple nights in the hospital, so this was a big deal for me. My ex-husband was there the entire time, being a great dad and a supportive partner to me as I worried over every little thing. We spent all those nights in the hospital together, and I remembered why I married him. He was always able to be a strong, level-headed rock for me. He was this safe person who I knew would take care of everything and protect me. When we were in the hospital, he told me that I was still the most important woman in his life. When our son was discharged, my ex-husband came back to my house. My baby was home safe, and our other 2 children were excited to be home after staying with my husband's sister for several nights. We were all together at home like a family again. That night, after our kids were in bed, we had sex. I hadn't been hoping for it or planning it. It was just like, as soon as the kids were tucked away in their rooms, we were having this intensely passionate, needy, amazing sex that we shouldn't have been having. We went to sleep in my bed, and at some point in the middle of the night, we had sex again. The next morning, we both decided our emotions about the whole situation with our son just got the better of us. We said we didn't regret sleeping together, but that's all it was, and we were just going to go back to our normal divorce lives. We wouldn't make it awkward, just move on. Then I found out I was pregnant. We didn't use a condom. I don't even have condoms in my house anymore. I'm not on birth control. I haven't been since we divorced. I haven't needed it since I haven't had the time or interest to start dating again. I really wanted to be single for a while. I know I was ovulating when we slept together, which was probably a contributing subconscious factor as to why it happened. My body sees him as a good dad to our kids, and it wants another. My cycle is like clockwork, and we've always conceived on the first try every time we've tried to get pregnant. Our first kid was not even a try. It was a 2 weeks before your wedding you find out you're pregnant, and spend your honeymoon with morning sickness surprise. So now I'm about 8 weeks pregnant. I've known for about a week. I just told him this past weekend. I didn't know if I would tell him at all. I realize now that I only told him in hopes that he'd tell me what to do and figure the situation out for me. Only he didn't. I know it makes no sense to have a baby with someone I chose to divorce. I don't need a 4th child. Why can't I let go of this though? Update. I posted about a week ago. My ex-husband and I have been divorced for about a year. We have 3 kids, ranging from 10 to 5 years old. We have gotten along great since the divorce, better than when we were married. It's almost like we're friends, can do things with our kids, and enjoy being around each other. About 2 months ago, our youngest unexpectedly ended up having surgery and spending several nights in the hospital. He's fine now. My ex-husband and I stayed together with our son the entire time he was in the hospital. When he was discharged, my ex-husband came back to my house or former family home at our son's request. He was just supposed to spend a few hours there, help our son get settled, then go home. However, I guess all of the emotions and being together as a family in our former shared home got the better of us, and we ended up having sex twice that night. Now, I'm 9 weeks pregnant. I wasn't on birth control, was on it, until after our divorce was finalized, but have been intentionally remaining single for a while, and not involved with men in any way. So was giving my body a break from birth control. Initially, we were undecided about what to do, but as of last weekend, we made the decision together to have the baby. It feels sort of crazy to me, definitely not a situation I ever imagined I'd find myself in. I already picture this baby looking just like our other kids. I guess that's why I struggled with the idea of not continuing with the pregnancy, which I know isn't really a valid reason to have a baby. This is probably the last baby I'll ever have. I'm 39. So even if I were to meet a man who I trusted enough to want to have a child with, and a future with, I'd be well into my 40s by then. I plan to be very picky. But I'm not even at the point of wanting to find somebody new yet. We're not getting back together for now. We get along great when we're not married and living in the same house. We feel it'd be irresponsible for all of our children to attempt to get back together right now because of this. Chances are higher that we'll be able to co-parent this baby successfully if we live separately. However, we are committed to working together to do what has to be done to take care of the baby when he or she gets here. Our kids are doing so great right now, and they seem very happy and secure with the current setup of our lives and homes. So we want to stick with this for now. I don't know if I really understand what I'm getting myself into. Our other kids were all born into a marriage and a two-parent home. I know that sharing custody of a baby will be a lot different than the kids going back and forth between homes. I might be feeling too positive about it, but I think it could work out fine. The new baby will just see this as normal, right? The next thing to worry about will be having to explain this to everyone when we tell them. My family and friends will get over it, but I'm especially concerned with explaining it to our kids. I'm worried our oldest won't take the news well. She also knows what sex is and how babies are made. And for everyone concerned about his girlfriend, she's not his girlfriend anymore. Top-rated comment. These two are 100% getting back together within a year and then breaking up again in another. Thank you for watching the video.